Let the stars watch over you outside, their light filtering through the window like a gentle promise of tomorrow. You are strong, you are steady, and you've earned this peace. Let yourself drift, let the world fade away, and sink into the soft embrace of sleep. Sweet dreams, you've done enough. Hey guys, tonight we're stepping into the dusty, whiskey-soaked world of a saloon madam in the Wild West, where the air smells of cigar smoke and ambition, and every creak of the floorboards might signal trouble. Picture yourself in a bustling frontier town, the sun barely peeking over the horizon, as you stand at the heart of a saloon that's equal parts glamour and grit. You're not just running a bar, you're juggling charm, danger, and a ledger sharper than a gambler's knife. One wrong move, and you probably won't survive this high-stakes game of wits and wiles. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your location and local time. I'd love to know where you're joining me from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You wake to the faint clatter of bottles and the distant whinny of horses outside the saloon's warped wooden walls. It's barely dawn, and the world feels raw, like a canvas waiting for your brushstrokes. Your room above the saloon is small but yours, with a creaky bed, a chipped mirror, and a single window framing the dusty street below. You stretch, your silk robe brushing against your skin, and already your mind's racing. Running a saloon isn't just pouring drinks, it's a high-wire act of charm, control, and calculation. You're the queen of this chaotic kingdom, and every day tests your mettle. Downstairs, the saloon is a mess from last night's revelry. Spilled whiskey stains the floor, cards are scattered across a poker table, and a lone cowboy snores in a corner, his hat tipped over his face. You smirk. Typical. You nudge him with your boot, and he mumbles something about 5 more minutes before stumbling out into the morning light. The air smells of stale beer and sawdust, but to you, it's the scent of opportunity. You've got a long day ahead, and every second counts. First, you survey the bar. The shelves are half-stocked, and you note which bottles need refilling. Whiskey's running low, no surprise there. The frontier's thirst is bottomless, and keeping the liquor flowing is your lifeline. You've learned to keep a mental tally of every bottle, every coin, every debt. Back in the 1870s, saloons were the beating heart of any frontier town, often doubling as post offices, courtrooms, or even makeshift hospitals. Your place is no exception. It's the hub where miners, drifters, and dreamers collide, and you're the one holding it all together. But not everyone sees you as the hero of this story. Historians still argue whether saloon madams were savvy entrepreneurs or just glorified hustlers exploiting lonely men. The truth? Probably a bit of both, but you lean toward the former. You're no saint, but you're no fool either. You've heard whispers of madams who used crocodile tears to charm sheriffs into overlooking unpaid taxes. Quirky, sure, but it worked. You don't have time for tears today though. The saloon's already stirring, and you've got to set the tone. You grab a broom, not because you love sweeping, but because it's a signal to your staff, mostly women, a few men, who'll trickle in soon. They look to you for direction, and you can't afford to look weak. Your voice, low and steady, carries the weight of someone who's faced down worse than a hungover cowboy. Let's make this place shine before the vultures descend. You say, half joking, and the room feels a little less heavy. Laughter's your secret weapon. It disarms the grumpiest drifter and keeps your crew loyal. The first delivery wagon rolls up outside, hooves kicking up dust that swirls in the morning light. You straighten your posture, smooth your hair, and step onto the porch. The driver's early, which is good, but his smirk says he's ready to haggle. You're not just a madam, you're a negotiator, a diplomat, a force. You flash a smile, sharp as a razor, and prepare to play the game. This saloon doesn't run itself, and every deal, every glance, every choice is yours to make or break. Your day's just beginning, but already you feel the pulse of the saloon, like a living thing under your command. The clink of glasses, the murmur of early patrons, the creak of the floor, it's all yours to orchestrate. You've got ledgers to balance, staff to wrangle, and a reputation to uphold. And maybe, just maybe, you'll sneak in a moment to touch up your lipstick before the real chaos hits. For now, you take a deep breath, let the morning's cool air fill your lungs, and dive into the fray. You're elbow deep in the morning hustle, the saloon's pulse quickening as the day takes shape. The delivery wagon's dust still lingers in the air, and you're standing at the bar, a ledger book open before you, its pages worn from your relentless pencil scratches. The numbers don't lie, but they sure know how to argue. You're tallying last night's take, whiskey sales, poker bets, a few tabs from drifters who swear they'll pay next week. Your fingers trace the columns, catching a mistake one of your bartenders made. You sigh, half amused. "Rookie," you mutter, erasing the smudged ink. Running a saloon means you're part accountant, part dictator, and you've got to keep the books tighter than a corset. Outside, the wagon driver unloads barrels of whiskey and sacks of flour for the kitchen. You hear the thump of wood on wood, the driver's low whistle as he works. You step out to check the delivery, your boots clicking on the porch. The frontier supply lines are fickle. Back in the 1880s, towns like Deadwood or Tombstone often went weeks without fresh stock due to bandit raids or washed-out trails. You've learned to inspect every crate, every bottle, because one shorted shipment can sink your night. The driver tries to rush you, muttering about his next stop, but you're not having it. "Open that barrel," you say, voice calm but firm. He grumbles, but complies, revealing amber liquid glinting in the sunlight. Good enough. Back inside, the saloon's starting to hum. Your cook, a grizzled woman named Maggie, is barking orders in the kitchen, her apron already dusted with flour. She's a gem, but her temper's hotter than her biscuits. You poke your head in, dodging a flung dish rag. "Save some of that fire for the stew, Mags." You tease, and she snorts, waving you off. The kitchen's chaos is a small price to pay for her loyalty. She's been with you since you took over this place, back when it was just a shack with dreams of grandeur. Your ledger's still open, and you return to it, scribbling notes about the delivery. Historians still argue whether saloon madams were the true economic powerhouses of frontier towns, or just fronts for shadier operations. You know the truth. Every penny you make is earned through sweat, charm, and a knack for numbers. A quirky tidbit floats to mind. Some madams kept coded ledgers, using symbols to track special services for high rollers. You don't bother with codes, your books are clean, but you've got your own tricks for keeping tabs on who owes what. The saloon's front door swings open, letting in a gust of warm air and a scruffy miner named Tom, one of your regulars. He's early, which means he's either flush with cash or drowning in debt. "Mornin', madam," he drawls, tipping his hat. You nod, sliding him a coffee, your little secret for keeping the early crowd tame. "Don't spend it all before noon, Tom," you say with a wink, and he chuckles, settling at the bar. You're not just serving drinks, you're building alliances, one smile at a time. A crash from the back room snaps your focus. One of your newer girls, Clara, has dropped a crate of glasses. She's all apologies, her cheeks red as she scrambles to clean up. You don't yell, yelling's for amateurs. Instead, you kneel beside her, picking up shards with steady hands. "First rule, slow is smooth, smooth is fast," you say, echoing an old madam you once knew. Clara nods, grateful, and you pat her shoulder. You've got a soft spot for the new ones, but you can't let them see it too often. The delivery driver's shouting now, arguing with Maggie over a sack of potatoes. You roll your eyes, another fire to put out. You stride outside, your skirt swishing, and fix the driver with a stare that could stop a stampede. "Problem?" you ask, voice like honey over steel. He mumbles something about short wait, but you've already checked the scales. You point to the ledger, showing your math, and he backs down, tipping his hat. You're not just a madam, you're a fortress, and no one's getting past you without a fight. As the morning wears on, the saloon fills with the clatter of preparation. You move between tasks, checking stock, soothing egos, balancing numbers, all while keeping an eye on the door. Trouble's never far off, and you've got a sixth sense for it. You glance at your ledger one last time, satisfied for now, and tuck it under the bar. The day's young, but you're already 3 steps ahead. Or so you hope. You stand before the chipped mirror in your upstairs room, the morning's chaos fading into a brief pocket of calm. The saloon hums below, but up here, it's just you, a small vanity table, and the tools of your trade, a pot of rouge, a stub of coal, and a tube of lipstick as red as a desert sunset. You lean closer, the mirror catching the glint in your eyes as you start your ritual. This isn't just primping, it's armor, a mask you paint on to face the world. You dab rouge on your cheeks, blending it with practiced fingers, and the scent of rosewater fills the air, sharp and sweet. You're not just a madam, you're a performer, and the saloon's your stage. The mirror's edges are tarnished, but it shows you well enough. Strong jaw, sharp eyes, a hint of defiance in your smirk. You twist open the lipstick, its waxy scent grounding you. Back in the 1870s, cosmetics were a battleground. Preachers called them sinful, but madams like you made them a statement. You glide the crimson across your lips, slow and deliberate, turning your smile into a weapon. It's not vanity, it's strategy. A well-placed smile can disarm a rowdy cowboy faster than a revolver. You pause, remembering a quirky tidbit. Some madams mixed their own rouge from crushed beetles, swearing it gave a glow no store-bought stuff could match. You stick to your trusted pot, but you respect the hustle. Historians still argue whether makeup was empowerment or a trap for women like you, caught between society's rules and their own ambitions. You don't care much for the debate. Your face, your rules. Downstairs, the saloon's waking up. You hear Maggie's laugh, sharp and rough, mingling with the clink of glasses being set out. You sweep coal along your eyelids, sharpening your gaze, and pin your hair into a loose, artful pile. Every curl's a choice, every pin a signal. You're in control. Your dress, a deep green taffeta, rustles as you slip it on, the fabric catching the light. It's not the flashiest gown in town, but it's yours, tailored to hug your frame and turn heads without trying too hard. You glance at the small revolver tucked in a drawer, its handle worn from years of quiet readiness. Not today, you hope, but it's there, just in case. You don't flaunt it, only fools wave guns around, but every madam knows danger's never far off. You tuck a lace handkerchief into your sleeve, a softer kind of shield, and head for the stairs. The saloon greets you with a wave of noise. Clara's sweeping, Tom's nursing his coffee, and a new delivery boy's stacking crates by the bar. You glide through, your presence shifting the room's rhythm. "Lookin' like trouble again," Tom says, grinning, and you toss back. "Only the kind you can't afford." He laughs, and the tension eases, just like you planned. Humor's your currency, spent wisely to keep the peace. You check the bar, running your fingers along the polished wood. It's scarred from years of spilled drinks and careless knives, but it's yours, a testament to your reign. You adjust a bottle of whiskey, straightening the label, and catch Clara watching you. She's learning, mimicking your confidence. "Chin up, girl," you say softly. "You're not just serving drinks, you're running the show." She nods, a spark in her eyes, and you feel a flicker of pride. The morning's deliveries are sorted, but you spot a crate of lemons in the corner. Overpriced, but necessary for the fancy drinks that draw in the high rollers. You make a mental note to haggle harder next time. The frontier's no place for soft negotiators, and you've built your name on being anything but. You move to the piano in the corner, its keys yellowed but still playable, and run a hand over it. Tonight, it'll sing, but for now, it's a quiet reminder of the night's promise. As you step behind the bar, you catch your reflection in a glass pane, lipstick bold, eyes sharp, ready for whatever the day throws at you. The saloon's a beast, but you're its tamer, and this morning's ritual has you steeled for the fight. You pour a glass of water, sip it slow, and let the day's rhythm pull you forward. You're weaving through the saloon now, the morning's quiet giving way to a rising hum of activity. The air's thick with the scent of fresh sawdust and brewing coffee, and your boots tap a steady rhythm on the worn floorboards. Your staff's trickling in, girls in bright dresses, a couple of bartenders with rolled-up sleeves, and a scrappy kid who sweeps the porch for a nickel. You're not just their boss, you're their anchor in this rough-and-tumble world. They look to you for cues, and you deliver, your voice low but sharp, like a whip crack softened by a smile. "Let's move, folks, this ain't a charity," you say, tossing a rag to a bartender who's lingering too long by the door. He catches it with a grin, and the room snaps to life. Your crew's a mixed bag, each with their own quirks. There's Clara, still green but eager, her hands quick as she polishes glasses. Then there's Jake, the lanky bartender who flirts with anything that moves, useful for tips, annoying when he forgets the orders. Maggie's in the kitchen, her voice booming over the clatter of pans, and you've got a piano player, Silas, who's late again, probably nursing a hangover. In the 1880s, saloons were often staffed by women who doubled as entertainers or companions, a fact that made them both vital and vulnerable in frontier towns. You keep your girls safe, but you also keep them sharp. Nobody slacks under your watch. You gather them near the bar, your green dress catching the light as you lean against a stool. Clara, tables need wiping before noon. Jake, check the kegs, last week's ale was flatter than a preacher's sermon. They nod, scattering to their tasks, and you stifle a laugh at Jake's mock salute. Humor keeps them loyal, and loyalty's worth more than gold in a place like this. You've heard tales of madams who ruled with fear, but you prefer a lighter touch. Fear fades, but respect lasts. A quirky tidbit pops into your head. Some madams in Dodge City kept parrots as security, trained to squawk at strangers. You don't need a bird, your own instincts are sharper, but you wouldn't mind the company. Historians still argue whether saloon staff were exploited or empowered, caught in a system where survival meant playing the game. You see it clearer, your crew's here because they choose to be, and you make sure they've got a reason to stay. You spot Clara struggling with a heavy tray and step in, lifting it with her. "Teamwork, not heroics," you say, and she flashes a shy smile. You're tough, but you're fair, and they know it. You move to the back, where Maggie's cursing at a sticky oven door. "Need a crowbar, Mags?" You tease, and she swats at you with a spoon, her laugh cutting through the kitchen's heat. You check her supplies, flour, salt, a few precious eggs, and nod. She's got enough to keep the lunch crowd fed, but you'll need to charm a better deal on chicken soon. The saloon's front door creaks, and a new face stumbles in, a kid, barely 20, asking for work. You size him up, scrawny, nervous, but his eyes are steady. "Can you mop a floor without tripping over it?" You ask, half joking. He nods, eager, and you toss him a broom. "Prove it." You don't hire on a whim, but you've got a knack for spotting potential. The frontier's full of strays, and you've built a family from them, one misfit at a time. As noon approaches, the saloon's taking shape. Tables gleam, the bar's stocked, and Silas finally shuffles in, muttering apologies. You point to the piano. "Play something lively tonight, or I'll make you sing instead," you say, and he chuckles, knowing you mean it. You glance around, satisfied for now. Your crew's a machine, and you're the one keeping it oiled. But the day's young, and the real test, patrons, tempers, and trouble, is just around the corner. You straighten your shoulders, ready to steer the ship through whatever storm rolls in. You're behind the bar now, the saloon's rhythm settling into a steady beat as the noon sun burns through the windows, casting long shadows across the polished wood. The first wave of patrons trickles in, miners caked in dust, a merchant in a too-tight suit, and Tom, still nursing his coffee but eyeing the whiskey. You're in your element, a conductor of chaos, your green dress a beacon in the smoky haze. You pour a shot for the merchant, sliding it with a smile that's equal parts charm and challenge. "Rough day in the shop?" you ask, and he grumbles about slow sails, loosening up as you nod sympathetically. This is your art, making every man feel like the center of the world, if only for a moment. The saloon's a stage, and you're the star, disarming with a glance or a quip. In the 1870s, madams were often the social glue of frontier towns, brokering connections between drifters and locals. You know every name, every debt, every secret. A miner named Hank spills about a new gold strike upriver, his voice low but eager. You lean in, all ears, filing it away. Information's as good as currency. Keep that quiet, Hank, you say with a wink, or you'll have half the town panning your claim. He laughs, and you've got him hooked, loyal for another night. A quirky tidbit surfaces. Some madams slipped coded messages into drink orders, signaling allies about trouble or deals. You don't need codes, you're raised eyebrows enough to tell Jake to watch a rowdy table. Historians still argue whether madams were manipulators or master networkers, but you know it's both. You're weaving a web, and every patron's a thread. A new face, a cowboy with a scar across his cheek, orders a beer. His eyes linger too long, testing you. You meet his gaze, unflinching, and slide the glass over. First one's on the house, you say, but don't get used to it. The room chuckles, and he backs off, diffused. You've got a knack for reading people. Too bold, and they push back. Too soft, and they walk over you. It's a tightrope, and you've never fallen. Clara's circling with a tray, her confidence growing under your watch. You nod approval, but catch her mixing up an order, whiskey for beer. You swoop in, swapping glasses before the patron notices. Eyes on the prize, Clara. You murmur, and she blushes but nods. You're teaching her to glide, not stumble, through this world. Meanwhile, Jake's flirting with the rancher's wife, and you shoot him a look that says, "Not on my dime." He grins, guilty, and gets back to pouring. The saloon's filling up, the air thick with tobacco and laughter. You move like water, refilling drinks, trading barbs, keeping the mood light. Don't bet your horse on that poker hand, Tom, you tease, and he snorts, tossing in his chips anyway. You're not just serving, you're steering, making sure every patron feels seen but never too bold. A merchant tries to haggle his tab, and you lean close, voice sweet but firm. Pay up, or Maggie's stews off the menu. He laughs, sliding coins across the bar. You pocket them, mental ledger ticking. The door swings open, and a gust of hot air brings in a pair of prospectors, their faces grim. Trouble's brewing. You feel it in your bones. You glance at the revolver hidden under the bar, not touching it but knowing it's there. For now, you keep smiling, pouring, charming, because that's your first line of defense. The saloon's your kingdom, and these early patrons are just the start. Night's coming, and with it, the real test of your reign. The saloon's air is thick now, a mix of sweat, whiskey, and the faint tang of dust kicked up by boots. You're behind the bar, your eyes scanning the room like a hawk, catching every glance, every shift in posture. The lunch crowd's rowdy, and you sense a storm brewing in the corner where two prospectors, new faces grizzled and tense, are hunched over their drinks. Their voices are low, but their hands twitch too close to their belts. Trouble's got a smell, and you've sniffed it out. You're no stranger to bar fights. In the 1880s, saloons were powder kegs, where a wrong word could spark fists or worse. You've got a revolver under the bar, but you'd rather not use it. Bullets are messy, and you've got a reputation to keep. You glide over, your green dress rustling, and lean between the prospectors with a smile sharp enough to cut glass. "Gents, how's the whiskey treating you?" you ask, voice smooth as honey. They blink, caught off guard, and one mumbles something about a claim dispute. You nod, pouring them a refill on the house. "No need to settle scores here," you say, light but firm. "Save it for the dust outside." They grumble but ease back, and you feel the room exhale. You're not just a madam, you're a diplomat, diffusing bombs with a wink. A quirky tidbit crosses your mind. Some madams kept a stash of knockout drops for rowdy patrons, slipping a dose into their drinks to avoid bloodshed. You don't play that dirty. Your words are usually enough, but you've got your tricks. Historians still argue whether saloon madams were peacekeepers or just profited off chaos. You know it's both. You keep the peace to keep the coins flowing. Across the room, Tom's waving for another shot, and you nod to Jake to handle it. Jake's quick, but he's got a habit of over-serving, and you're watching him like a mother hen. You catch Clara's eye, motioning her to clear a table where a miner's spilled his stew. She's learning fast, but you're ready to step in if she falters. The saloon's a machine, and you're the one keeping the gears turning, even when they're grinding. A cowboy at the bar, the one with the scar from earlier, starts raising his voice, arguing with a gambler over a card game. You feel that familiar prickle. Trouble's back. You move closer, your presence alone enough to quiet them for a moment. Cards ain't worth a brawl, boys, you say, tossing in a grin. Unless you're betting your boots, then I'm watching. The room laughs, and the tension cracks like thin ice. You're good at this, turning heat into humor, but you keep one hand near the bar's edge, close to that hidden revolver. Maggie pokes her head out from the kitchen, shouting about a burned batch of biscuits. You roll your eyes, her temper's as predictable as the sunrise. Burn the place down, and you're scrubbing floors, Mags. You call back, and she cackles, already back to her pans. You love her fire. It matches your own, even if you wear yours differently. You glance at the prospectors again. They're drinking quietly now, but you'll keep an eye on them. One wrong move, and your saloon could turn into a battlefield. The door swings open, letting in a blast of hot air and a merchant with a ledger of his own. He's here to talk business, but you know he's also here for the gossip. You pour him a coffee, lean in, and let him ramble while you listen for anything useful. Every word's a potential edge, and you're always playing the long game. For now though, you're balancing a dozen tasks, watching patrons, guiding your crew, and keeping that revolver in the back of your mind. The saloon's alive, and you're its heartbeat. The saloon's midday buzz is a controlled chaos, the kind you thrive in, as you move from the bar to the back room where the latest delivery's being unloaded. The air's heavy with the scent of fresh whiskey barrels and the faint sweetness of molasses from a crate of supplies. You're in your element, clipboard in hand, checking off items as a wiry supplier named Amos tries to slip a short count past you. His grin's all charm, but you're not buying it. Amos, you're 3 bottles light on the rye, you say, tapping the ledger with your pencil. Your voice is calm, but your eyes pin him like a butterfly to a board. He stammers, then promises to fix it next run. You nod, but you'll hold him to it. Your memory's sharper than his excuses. Negotiating's your bread and butter. In the 1880s, saloon madams often dealt directly with suppliers, outsmarting men who underestimated them. You've built a network of grudging respect, from brewers to butchers, because you know the game. Every penny saved is a penny earned. You lean against a barrel, crossing your arms. Throw in an extra sack of sugar, and we'll call it square, you say, flashing a smile that's half threat, half promise. Amos hesitates, then nods, muttering about tough women. You chuckle. Tough's what keeps you alive. A quirky tidbit floats up. Some madams bartered with moonshine they brewed themselves, dodging taxes and padding profits. You stick to legal stock, but you admire the nerve. Historians still argue whether madams were ruthless capitalists or just scrappy survivors in a man's world. You'd say it's survival with style. Every deal's a dance, and you lead. Back inside, the saloon's humming. Clara's wiping tables, her movements smoother now, and Jake's pouring drinks with a flourish that's earning tips. You catch a miner slipping a coin to one of your girls, Lila, for a dance later. You don't mind, dancing's good for business, but you'll make sure Lila's safe. You glide over, resting a hand on her shoulder. Keep it light, darlin', you murmur, and she nods, grateful for the backup. Your girls know you've got their backs, and that loyalty's your real currency. Amos lingers, trying to sweet-talk you into a bigger order next month. You listen, letting him think he's winning, but you're already calculating costs against your ledger's tight margins. We'll see how the crowd drinks this week, you say, non-committal. He laughs, tipping his hat, and heads out. You jot a note to check his prices against another supplier. You trust no one but your own math. The saloon's rhythm shifts as a new patron stumbles in, a traveling salesman with a loud vest and louder stories. You pour him a whiskey, leaning in to catch his gossip about a railroad coming through next year. Information like that could change your business, and you file it away, your mind always 3 steps ahead. Keep talking, friend, you say with a grin, but don't expect free refills. He laughs, and you've got another ally, at least for today. Maggie's voice cuts through the noise, hollering about a late lunch rush. You poke your head into the kitchen, dodging a cloud of flour. Need me to charm the crowd into eating faster? You tease, and she snorts, waving a ladle. You love her chaos, it matches the saloon's pulse. As you step back to the bar, you feel the weight of the day settling in, but you're ready. Deals done, patrons managed, and your ledger's still in the black. For now, that's enough. The saloon's midday hum is a living thing, vibrating through the floorboards as you weave between tables, catching snippets of conversation like a prospector panning for gold. The air's thick with tobacco smoke and the warm, yeasty scent of Maggie's fresh bread, pulling in a crowd of hungry miners and merchants. You're not just running a bar, you're the keeper of secrets, and this saloon's the town's beating heart for gossip. You pause near a table where 2 ranchers are muttering about a cattle deal gone sour, their voices low but not low enough. You don't eavesdrop outright, you just listen, your presence so natural no one thinks to hush. A madam's power lies in what she knows, and you know plenty. In the 1880s, saloons were the unofficial newsrooms of the frontier, where rumors about gold strikes, bandit raids, or crooked sheriffs spread faster than wildfire. You've heard it all, tales of lost mines, secret affairs, even whispers of a stagecoach robbery planned upriver. You lean against the bar, polishing a glass you don't need to polish, and catch a merchant griping about a rival's shady land grab. You file it away, your mental ledger as sharp as the one under the counter. Knowledge is leverage, and you're always collecting. A quirky tidbit surfaces. Some madams train their girls to accidentally overhear deals, passing the juiciest bits back for a cut of the profits. You don't need to coach your crew, they know to keep their ears open, but you reward sharp listening with a nod or an extra night off. Historians still argue whether madams were just gossip brokers or genuine power players shaping towns behind the scenes. You'd say it's both. You're no puppet master, but you're no bystander either. A cowboy at the bar, half drunk already, starts boasting about a duel he almost fought last week. You slide him a water, disguised as a weak whiskey. Save the heroics for the dime novels, friend, you say, and the room chuckles, easing the tension. Your humor's a tool, softening edges before they cut. You glance at Clara, who's navigating the crowd with a tray, her confidence growing. You catch her eye, giving a subtle nod. She's doing fine, but you're watching. The rancher's talk turns to a missing foreman, and you perk up. Missing men mean trouble. Maybe a claim jumper, maybe worse. You don't react, just keep wiping the bar, but your mind's racing. If there's truth to it, you'll hear more tonight when tongues loosen. For now, you shift to a table where a gambler's regaling Lila with a story about a haunted mine. You lean in, teasing, "Ghosts don't pay tabs, so don't let him spin you too long." Lila laughs, and the gambler tips his hat, caught out. You're keeping the mood light, but your radar's always on. Maggie storms out of the kitchen, apron dusted with flour, ranting about a broken stove. "Fix it, or I'm serving raw potatoes," she snaps. You grin, tossing her a mock salute. "I'll charm the blacksmith into a discount, Mags." She snorts, but you see her relax. You're already planning to sweet-talk the smith later. Favors are your currency, and you spend them wisely. The saloon's a web of whispers, and you're at the center, catching every thread. A new patron, a surveyor with a map case, orders a beer and starts talking about a railroad survey. You pour slow, listening hard. If tracks come through, your saloon could double its take, or draw trouble. You smile, refill his glass, and let him talk. Every word's a piece of the puzzle, and you're building the picture, one secret at a time. You're gliding through the saloon, the afternoon sun slanting through the windows, painting the room in a warm, golden haze that makes the dust motes dance. Your green taffeta dress catches every eye, its deep hue a deliberate choice, bold enough to stand out, practical enough to hide a spilled drink or two. You're not just a madam, you're a vision, turning heads as you move from table to bar, your skirt rustling like a whispered promise. Fashion's your second language, and in this rough frontier town, it's a dialect you speak fluently. You adjust a lace cuff, feeling the weight of every gaze, some admiring, some calculating, all manageable. In the 1880s, saloon madams were style icons, their wardrobes a mix of Parisian flair and frontier grit, often imported at great cost to signal status. Your dress, with its fitted bodice and subtle embroidery, cost you a month's profits, but it's worth every penny. It's not just cloth, it's armor, a statement that says you're untouchable yet approachable. You catch Clara watching, her eyes wide at the way your necklace, a simple silver locket, gleams against the green. Takes more than a dress to run this place, you say with a wink, but it helps. She grins, and you know she's dreaming of her own spotlight someday. A quirky tidbit pops up. Some madams wore men's boots under their skirts for quick getaways, blending glamour with grit. You stick to heeled boots, less practical, but they add a click to your step that commands attention. Historians still argue whether fashion was a madam's vanity or a calculated tool for power. You'd laugh at the debate. Every pin, every ribbon, is a choice to keep you on top. You pause by the bar, adjusting a feathered hairpin as Jake pours around for a table of minors. One of them, a young buck with too much whiskey in him, whistles. "Lookin' like a queen, madam," he calls. You turn, flashing a smile that's half charm, half warning. "Queens don't pour your drinks, so tip well," you shoot back, and the table roars, coins clinking as they dig into their pockets. Your style's a magnet, pulling in loyalty as much as cash. A merchant at the bar, his vest straining at the buttons, eyes your dress with a mix of awe and envy. "Must cost a fortune," he says, fishing for a story. You shrug, leaning close. "Worth it to keep folks like you spending," you tease, and he laughs, ordering another round. You're not just selling drinks, you're selling an experience, and your look seals the deal. The saloon's rhythm hums along, but you catch a snag. Lila's dress has a torn hem, and she's trying to hide it. You pull her aside, handing her a spare shawl from behind the bar. "Cover it for now, fix it tonight," you murmur. "Never let him see you fray." She nods, grateful, and you're reminded how your girls look to you. Not just for orders, but for how to carry themselves in a world that's quick to judge. Maggie storms in, her apron a canvas of flour and grease, muttering about a late delivery of spices. "Tell me you're not wearing that to a ball, Mags," you say, nodding at her mess. She cackles, waving you off, but you see the spark in her eyes. Your style sets the tone, even for her. As you move to check the bar's stock, you catch your reflection in a glass pane. Dress sharp, posture sharper. The saloon's a stage, and you're dressed for the lead, ready for whatever act comes next. The saloon's afternoon hum is a steady pulse, the clink of glasses and murmur of voices weaving a familiar tapestry as you stand behind the bar, surveying your domain. The shelves are your lifeline, stocked with bottles of whiskey, gin, and a few precious bottles of brandy for the high rollers. You're checking the liquor supply now, running a finger along the labels, mentally tallying what's low and what's selling. The whiskey's dwindling fast, always does when miners hit pay dirt, and you make a note to push Amos for a better deal next delivery. Running a saloon means knowing your stock like a general knows her troops. One empty bottle at the wrong moment, and the night could sour. In the 1880s, saloons were the lifeblood of frontier towns, often consuming half the local economy with liquor sales alone. You've seen men spend their last dime on a shot, and you're not here to judge, just to keep the glasses filled and the coins flowing. You lift a bottle of rye, checking for sediment, and catch Jake over-pouring again. "Easy, cowboy," you call, voice light but pointed. "We're selling drinks, not giving 'em away." He grins, sheepish, and adjusts his pour. You shake your head. Jake's charm is a double-edged sword. A quirky tidbit floats up. Some madams watered down their whiskey with tea or river water, stretching profits while swearing it was aged. You don't cut corners like that. Your reputation's too valuable. But you've got your own tricks, like pushing the cheaper gin when the crowd's too drunk to notice. Historians still argue whether saloon liquor was a social lubricant or a predatory trap for desperate men. You'd say it's both. A drink's a choice, but you make sure they keep choosing. A miner at the bar, his face smudged with dust, orders a double. You pour, sliding the glass with a smile. "Rough day in the dirt?" you ask, and he grumbles about a busted claim. You listen, nodding, but you're also watching the room. Clara's juggling trays like a pro now, and Lila's chatting up a merchant, her shawl hiding that torn hem. You're proud of them, but you don't let it show. Sentiment's a luxury you save for after hours. The door swings open, letting in a gust of warm air and a peddler with a crate of dubious tonic bottles. He pitches them as a cure-all, but you've seen his type, snake oil in fancy glass. "Unless it cures bad poker hands, we're good," you say, waving him off with a grin. The room chuckles, and the peddler slinks out, defeated. Your humor's a shield, keeping the saloon's mood light even when the air's thick with tension. Maggie's voice cuts through from the kitchen, cursing a leaky keg. You sigh, heading back to check. "Mags, you're gonna scare the customers," you tease, inspecting the keg seal. "It's salvageable, but you'll need to replace it soon." You jot a note in your mental ledger, another expense, another dance with Amos. For now, you tap the keg, saving the ale, and Maggie grumbles her thanks. You're not just managing liquor, you're juggling a dozen crises, all while keeping the saloon's heart beating. As you return to the bar, you spot a new face, a quiet man in a clean coat, sipping slowly. He's not a regular, and his eyes scan the room too carefully. Trouble, maybe, or just a drifter with a story. You'll find out later. For now, you restock a shelf, your hands steady, your mind sharp. The saloon's a thirsty beast, and you're the one keeping it fed. The saloon's late afternoon glow casts long shadows across the tables, where cards slap against wood and laughter mixes with the clink of coins. You're at the heart of it, leaning against the bar, your eyes locked on the poker game in the corner. It's high stakes tonight, a grizzled miner, a slick gambler in a velvet vest, and a rancher with a chip stack that's dwindled too fast. The air's thick with tension, tobacco smoke curling like a warning. You're not playing, but you're watching every move, because a bad hand can turn your saloon into a brawl faster than a spilled drink. Your job's to keep the game fair, the players calm, and the money flowing, preferably into your till. In the 1880s, gambling was the pulse of many saloons, with poker tables drawing crowds as wild as any gold rush. You've seen men lose horses, deeds, even their pride over a bad bluff. You glide closer, your green dress a quiet command, and rest a hand on the table's edge. "Play nice, boys," you say, voice smooth but edged. The gambler glances up, his smile too sharp, but he nods. You know his type, card sharps who think they can outsmart you. They don't. A quirky tidbit crosses your mind. Some madams rigged tables with hidden mirrors to spot cheats, tipping off trusted players for a cut. You don't need mirrors, your instincts are enough, but you've caught a few sleights of hand in your day. Historians still argue whether saloons fueled gambling addiction or just gave men a place to dream big. You'd say it's neither here nor there. You just make sure the house gets its share. The rancher's sweating now, his stack nearly gone. You catch his eye, tilting your head toward the bar. Take a break, Sam, you suggest, and he grumbles but folds, stumbling over for a whiskey. You've saved him from ruin, at least for tonight. The miner and gambler keep playing, but you're watching the gambler's hands. Too quick, too smooth. You lean in, whispering, "I see every card, friend." He stiffens, then laughs it off, but he's cleaner after that. Your saloon, your rules. Clara's circling with a tray, dodging a drunken miner who's getting handsy. You're there in a flash, your smile a velvet blade. "Hands on your drink, not my girls," you say, and he backs off, mumbling apologies. Clara shoots you a grateful look, and you nod, lesson learned, but you'll keep an eye on him. Your crew's your family, and nobody crosses that line. Maggie's voice booms from the kitchen, complaining about low firewood. "Tell me you're not burning the bar, Mags." You call, and her laugh echoes back. You're already planning to sweet-talk the woodcutter for a discount, another task for your endless list. The saloon's a beast, and gambling's just one of its hungers. You glance at the table again, where the miner's grinning over a winning hand. You let it ride, but you're ready to step in if the gambler pushes back. A new patron, a quiet man in a clean coat from earlier, watches the game from the bar. He's nursing a single drink, his eyes too sharp for a casual drifter. You file it away. Trouble or opportunity, you'll figure it out. For now, you move to the bar, pouring around for a table of regulars. "Don't bet your boots, Tom," you tease, nodding at his cards, and he chuckles, tossing in a chip. The saloon's alive, the poker table its heartbeat, and you're the one keeping it steady, one sharp glance at a time. The saloon's sliding into evening now, the light softening to a dusky amber that paints the room in warm, forgiving tones. You're in constant motion, directing your crew like a conductor with a baton, setting the stage for the night's chaos. The tables are wiped, the lanterns lit, their flicker casting shadows that dance across the scarred wood. You're checking the bar setup, glasses polished, bottles arranged, a fresh deck of cards for the poker players. The air smells of wax, whiskey, and anticipation, and you can feel the saloon waking up, ready to roar. This is your domain, and you're shaping it for the crowd that'll soon flood through the doors. In the 1880s, saloons transformed at night, becoming theaters of revelry where music, liquor, and dreams collided. You know the stakes. Get the vibe right, and the coins flow. Get it wrong, and you're breaking up fights till dawn. You adjust a lantern, its glow catching the silver locket at your throat, and call to Clara, who's arranging chairs. "Angle those toward the piano, darlin'. Silas is playing tonight." She nods, quick and eager, and you smile. She's catching on, learning to read the room like you do. A quirky tidbit pops up. Some madams hung mirrors behind the bar to make the place look bigger, and to keep an eye on sneaky patrons. You've got no mirrors, but your instincts are sharper than glass. Historians still argue whether saloons were cultural hubs or just dens of vice. You'd say they're both, a place to forget the frontier's grind, but only if you keep the magic alive. You head to the kitchen, where Maggie's piling plates with steaming stew. "Smells like a winner, Mags," you say, dodging her playful swat. "Better be, or I'm quit tin," she grumbles, but her grin betrays her. You check the food stock, enough for the early crowd, but you'll need more beef by week's end. You make a mental note to charm the butcher tomorrow. Every detail's a thread in the tapestry you're weaving. Silas shuffles in, his fingers already twitching for the piano keys. "Something lively, Silas," you say, tossing him a mock glare. "None of that funeral dirge nonsense." He chuckles, settling at the bench, and you know he'll deliver. The music's your secret weapon, turning a rough bar into a haven. You glance at the bar, where Jake's testing a new cocktail mix. "Taste it first, genius," you tease, and he laughs, tossing back a sip. It's good, sharp and sweet, and you nod approval. Another draw for the night. The door creaks, and a few early regulars trickle in, their boots heavy with dust. You greet them by name, pouring their usuals before they ask. "Tom, you betting your hat tonight?" You quip, and he snorts, settling at a table. Your memory for faces and drinks is your edge. Makes them feel like family, keeps them coming back. But you're also watching the quiet man in the clean coat, still nursing his drink from earlier. He's too still, too observant. You'll deal with him later. You adjust a tablecloth, smooth your dress, and take a breath. The saloon's ready, a stage set for the night's performance. Your crew's in place, the liquor's stocked, and the air's buzzing with promise. You're not just a madam, you're a maestro, and the curtain's about to rise. One last glance around, and you're set, ready to steer the ship through the evening's wild seas. The saloon's alive now, the evening in full swing as Silas's piano fills the air with a rollicking tune, notes bouncing off the walls like laughter. The lanterns cast a warm glow, turning the room into a golden bubble where miners, gamblers, and drifters forget the frontier's grind. You're at the heart of it, moving between tables, your green dress catching the light as you orchestrate the night's entertainment. The crowd's buzzing, glasses clinking, and you're the one pulling the strings, making sure the music's loud, the drinks are cold, and the mood stays just shy of reckless. This is your saloon's magic hour, and you're weaving the spell. In the 1880s, saloons were the frontier's theaters, with music and dance as much a draw as the liquor. You've seen men ride 10 miles for a good song and a pretty smile. You nod to Silas, who's pounding out a crowd pleaser, his fingers flying despite last night's whiskey. "Keep it lively, old man," you call, and he flashes a grin, throwing in a flourish just for you. You've got a singer tonight, too, Lila, with a voice like honey and grit. She's warming up by the piano, her shawl hiding that torn hem, ready to charm the boots off every cowboy in the room. A quirky tidbit surfaces. Some madams hired fiddlers to play sad tunes at closing time, nudging drunks out the door without a fight. You rely on Silas's upbeat tempo to keep the energy high, but you've got your own tricks for clearing the place later. Historians still argue whether saloon entertainment was a cultural lifeline or just a distraction from misery. You'd say it's both. You give them a reason to laugh, to dance, to forget the dust in their lungs for a night. Lila steps up, her voice cutting through the chatter, and the room quiets, captivated. You watch from the bar, pouring a whiskey for Tom, who's swaying to the music. "She's trouble, that one," he says, nodding at Lila. "Only the kind you like." You shoot back, and he chuckles, tossing a coin on the bar. Your humor's a spark, keeping the night bright. You glance at Clara, who's weaving through the crowd with a tray, her confidence growing. You catch her eye, giving a nod, she's holding her own, and you're proud. A rowdy miner starts clapping too loud, sloshing his drink. You glide over, your smile a gentle leash. "Easy, friend, save some for the encore," you say, and he laughs, settling down. You're not just managing the mood, you're sculpting it, balancing joy and chaos. Maggie pokes her head out, shouting about empty stew pots. "Tell him to lick the plates, Mags." You tease, and her cackle carries over the music. You'll need to restock soon, but for now, the kitchen's holding. The quiet man in the clean coat is still at the bar, his eyes on Lila now, not the cards. He's no regular, and his stillness sets your nerves on edge. You'll keep watch, but for now, you focus on the room. Silas shifts to a faster tune, and a few cowboys start a clumsy dance, boots stomping. You laugh, clapping along, but your mind's never still, counting heads, tracking drinks, ready for trouble. The saloon's a living thing, and you're its heartbeat, keeping the music and mirth alive as the night deepens. The saloon's a roaring beast now, the night in full swing as Silas's piano churns out a foot-stomping reel, and Lila's voice weaves through the smoky air like a siren's call. The crowd's a mix of miners, cowboys, and a few merchants, their laughter and shouts blending into a chaotic symphony. You're at the center, moving like a shadow in your green dress, your eyes catching every flicker of trouble before it sparks. The air's thick with whiskey fumes and sweat, but you're in control, diffusing tension with a smile or a sharp word. Right now, though, trouble's brewing in the corner. A red-faced rancher and a wiry gambler are squaring off, their voices rising over a disputed poker hand. You feel the room tilt, and you're already moving. In the 1880s, saloon brawls were as common as spilled drinks, often over cards, women, or just too much liquor. You've seen chairs broken and noses bloodied, but you'd rather keep the furniture intact. You glide over, your presence cutting through the noise like a blade. "Boys," you say, voice low but carrying. "Take it outside or take a drink, your call." The rancher blinks, caught off guard, and you slide a whiskey between them. "On the house, but only if you shake hands." They grumble, but the gambler extends a hand, and the rancher takes it, pride bruised but no fists thrown. You've won this round. A quirky tidbit pops up. Some madams kept a bucket of cold water to douse hotheads, saving their saloons from wrecking balls. You rely on wit, but you're not above a bucket if it comes to it. Historians still argue whether madams were peacemakers or just profited off violence by letting it simmer. You'd say it's strategy. Peace keeps the coins flowing, and you're no fool. You glance at the bar, where Jake's pouring too fast, his flirtatious grin earning tips but risking sloppy service. "Slow down, Romeo," you call, half joking, and he winks, adjusting his pace. Clara's handling a tray like a pro, but you catch her dodging a grabby minor. You're there in a flash, your smile sharp. "Hands to yourself, or you're out," you say, and he mumbles an apology, shrinking under your gaze. Your girls are your line in the sand, and nobody crosses it. Lila's still singing, her voice pulling the crowd back to the music, and you nod approval. She's a gem, turning a tense night into something magical. You spot the quiet man in the clean coat again, still at the bar, his eyes now on the poker table. He's too still, too watchful, and your gut says he's more than a drifter. You'll deal with him soon, but for now, you keep the room steady. Maggie's voice cuts through, hollering about a spilled stew pot. "Tell me you're not flooding the kitchen, Mags." You tease, weaving toward the back. She's mopping up, cursing like a sailor, and you laugh, grabbing a rag to help. "You're lucky I like you," she grumbles, but her eyes soften. You're not just her boss, you're her ally in this madhouse. The saloon's a storm, and you're the calm at its center, diffusing fights, steering your crew, and keeping the night alive. One wrong move, and it could all unravel, but you're not letting that happen. The saloon's a whirlwind now, the night deep and wild, with Silas's piano pounding out a lively jig and the crowd swaying, shouting, or stumbling over their own boots. You're in the thick of it, your green dress a beacon as you slip into the smoky backroom, where the air's heavy with cigar haze and the clink of glasses. This is where the real deals happen, away from the main floor's chaos, where whispers carry more weight than gold. You're here to broker an alliance, a quiet agreement with a cattle baron named Reynolds who's nursing a brandy and eyeing you like a chess opponent. You know his game. He wants a cut-rate tab for his ranch hands in exchange for steering business your way. You're ready to play. In the 1880s, saloon backrooms were the frontier's boardrooms, where madams like you sealed deals that shaped towns, land swaps, liquor contracts, even political favors. You sit across from Reynolds, your locket glinting in the dim light, and pour him another drink. "Your boys drink like mules, Reynolds," you say, voice smooth but sharp. "Give me steady beef deliveries, and we'll talk tabs." He leans back, sizing you up, but you hold his gaze, unflinching. You're not just a madam, you're a power broker, and this room's your stage. A quirky tidbit surfaces. Some madams hid secret compartments in backroom walls for stashing cash or incriminating letters. You don't need hidey holes, your ledger's your vault, and your memory's ironclad, but you respect the hustle. Historians still argue whether these backroom deals made madams kingmakers or just opportunistic shadows. You'd say it's both. You shape the game, but only by knowing every player's hand. Reynolds counters, offering half the beef for a bigger discount. You smile, leaning forward. Half's no good when your men empty my barrels, you say, and he chuckles, conceding a better deal. You shake on it, your grip firm, and he tips his hat. Another thread woven into your web. You step back to the main floor, where Lila's singing a ballad, her voice softening the crowd's edge. You nod approval, she's earning her keep tonight. A shout from the poker table pulls your focus. The gambler's back at it, accusing a miner of cheating. You're there in a flash, your presence a calming force. Cards on the table, boys. No need for a showdown, you say, tossing in a grin. Unless you're betting your hats, then I'm in. The room laughs, and the miner shows his hand. Clean, for now. You've diffused another spark, but your eyes catch the quiet man in the clean coat, still watching from the bar. His stillness is a puzzle you'll solve soon. Maggie's voice cuts through, griping about a broken chair in the kitchen. Tell me you're not breaking furniture now, Mags. You call, weaving through the crowd. She's grumbling, but you see the spark in her eyes. She thrives on this chaos as much as you do. You promise to fix the chair tomorrow, already planning to barter with the carpenter. The backroom deal's done, the saloon's humming, and you're balancing a dozen plates, but you're in your element, steering this wild night with a steady hand. The saloon's a blazing star now, midnight's pulse throbbing through every creak of the floorboards and clink of glass. The lanterns flicker, casting wild shadows as Silas hammers out a reel that's got half the room stomping and the other half swaying, drunk on whiskey and Lila's voice. You're the queen of this chaos, your green dress glowing in the dim light, your presence a magnet that draws every eye. You're not just running the show, you're the show, gliding between tables, trading quips, and keeping the night's fire burning bright. Your locket catches the light as you lean over the bar, pouring a shot for Tom, who's grinning like a kid at a fair. Your trouble, madam, he slurs, and you wink. Only the best kind, Tom. In the 1880s, madams were the heart of a saloon's allure, their charisma turning rough bars into legends. You know your role, part host, part enchantress, all steel underneath. You catch Clara dodging a clumsy dancer, her tray steady, and give her a nod. She's shining tonight, just like you taught her. The crowd's a mix of miners, cowboys, and a few out-of-place merchants, all here for the magic you weave. You're not just serving drinks, you're serving dreams, and they're buying. A quirky tidbit pops up. Some madams wore perfume laced with laudanum to keep patrons docile, a risky trick you'd never touch. Your charm's enough, and you've got sharper tools. Historians still argue whether madams were performers or predators, crafting fantasies or fleecing fools. You'd say it's both. You give them a night to remember, but you don't work for free. A cowboy tries to pull Lila into a dance song, and you're there in a flash, your smile a velvet blade. She sings, you drink, fair trade, you say, and he backs off, laughing. You're protective, but you play it light, keeping the mood high. The quiet man in the clean coat is still at the bar, his eyes now on you, not the crowd. Your gut says he's trouble, maybe a lawman, maybe worse, but you'll handle him when the time's right. Maggie storms out, apron dusted with flour, shouting about a drunk knocking over a stew pot. Tell me you're not starting a food fight, Mags. You tease, and she snorts, waving you off. You love her fire. It matches the saloon's heat. You glance at the poker table, where the gambler's winning too clean now, and make a mental note to watch him closer. Cheats don't last in your house. You move to the piano, leaning close to Silas. Something slow next. Let him breathe. You murmur. He nods, shifting to a softer tune, and the room settles, the wild energy dipping just enough to keep things safe. You're a conductor, balancing the night's tempo, and every choice, every glance, every word, keeps the saloon alive. The quiet man still watching, but you meet his gaze, unflinching, your smile daring him to make a move. For now, you're the star, and this midnight stage is yours to command. The saloon's midnight fire is simmering now, the crowd still lively but starting to tire as Silas's piano softens to a lazy waltz. You're behind the bar, your green dress a touch rumpled but still commanding, as you scribble in your ledger under the flicker of a lantern. The night's take is looking good, whiskey's flowing, poker bets are piling up, and Lila's singing has kept the tips heavy. But your mind's never still, tallying every bottle sold, every tab unpaid, every coin slipped into your till. The ledger's your lifeline, a map of the saloon's pulse, and you guard it like a secret. You're not just a madam, you're a mathematician, turning chaos into profit with every scratch of your pencil. In the 1880s, saloon madams often kept meticulous books, tracking sales and debts to rival any banker. You've heard of towns where madams out-earned the mayor, their ledgers proof of their power. You glance at the numbers, catching a mistake Jake made on a miner's tab. Sloppy Jake, you mutter, erasing it with a sigh. He's across the room, flirting with a rancher's daughter, and you shoot him a look that says, "Focus." He grins, guilty, and gets back to pouring. You'll train him yet. A quirky tidbit surfaces. Some madams hid fake ledgers to fool tax collectors, keeping the real ones under floorboards. You play it straight, mostly, but your books are your castle, and nobody gets a peek without earning it. Historians still argue whether madams were financial wizards or just lucky opportunists. You'd say it's work, not luck, every penny's a battle won. A miner stumbles to the bar, begging for credit. "Pay last week's tab first, Charlie," you say, voice firm but kind. He grumbles but digs out a coin, and you slide him a whiskey. You're tough but fair, and they respect you for it. Clara's clearing tables, her movements swift, and you nod approval. She's a keeper. Lila's taking a break, sipping water by the piano, and you catch her eye, mouthing, "One more song." She smiles, nodding, ready to shine again. The quiet man in the clean coat is still there, his drink barely touched, his eyes now on your ledger. Your gut tightens, he's no drifter, maybe a Pinkerton or a rival spy. You'll deal with him soon, but for now, you keep scribbling, your numbers a shield. Maggie bursts from the kitchen, ranting about low firewood again. "Burn the bar next, Mags?" You tease, and she laughs, tossing a rag at you. Her chaos keeps you grounded, a reminder of the family you've built here. You tally the night's poker bets, noting the gambler's big wins. He's too smooth, and you'll check his cards later. Cheats don't prosper in your house. The saloon's still humming, but the clock's ticking toward closing. You glance at the ledger, satisfied for now, and tuck it away. The numbers tell a story of a night well run, but you're not done yet. One more push, one more hour, and you'll steer this ship to a safe harbor. The saloon's winding down now, the midnight hour long past, and the air's heavy with the dregs of revelry. Spilled whiskey, stale smoke, and the low hum of Silas's piano playing a final, sleepy tune. You're at the bar, your green dress slightly wilted but still regal, as you survey the stragglers. A few miners slumped over tables, a gambler counting his winnings, and Tom, swaying but loyal, nursing his last drink. Closing time's a battle, and you're the general, steering the chaos toward calm. You clap your hands, voice carrying like a gentle whip. "Time to settle up, folks. Sun's coming, and I ain't your mama." The room chuckles, and coins start clinking as tabs are paid. In the 1880s, closing a saloon was an art. Too soft, and drunks lingered. Too harsh, and you lost customers. You've mastered the balance, using charm and steel to clear the place without a fight. You glide to a table where a cowboy's dozing, his hat over his face. "Up and out, friend," you say, nudging him. He mumbles, stumbles to his feet, and tips his hat. Another victory. You're not just closing a bar, you're taming a beast. A quirky tidbit pops up. Some madams use trained dogs to herd drunks out at closing, barking them into the street. You rely on your voice and a well-timed glare, but you wouldn't mind a mutt for backup. Historians still argue whether closing time was a madam's triumph or just a nightly slog. You'd say it's both. Every empty saloon is a hard-won piece. Clara's sweeping, her energy fading but her work solid. You give her a nod, whispering, "Almost done, darlin'." She smiles, pushing through. Jake's stacking glasses, his flirtations finally quiet, and you catch him yawning. "Don't sleep on the bar, Romeo," you tease, and he laughs, tossing a rag over his shoulder. Maggie's in the kitchen, scrubbing pots with a vengeance, her curses softer now. You poke your head in. "We surviving, Mags?" She snorts, barely, but her grin says otherwise. The quiet man in the clean coat is gone, his glass half empty on the bar. Your gut twists, he slipped out without a word, and you don't like loose ends. You'll ask around tomorrow, nobody ghosts your saloon without a trace. For now, you focus on the stragglers. The gamblers still at the poker table, counting chips. You lean close, voice low. "Cash out or sleep in the street." He smirks but complies, sliding coins your way. You're fair, but you don't bend. The last patrons shuffle out, leaving the saloon quiet except for Silas's final notes. You lock the door, the click echoing in the empty room. You check the till, count the night's take, and tuck your ledger away. The place is a mess, spilled drinks, scattered cards, but it's yours, and you've steered it through another night. You blow out a lantern, the darkness creeping in, and feel the weight of the day settle. One last sweep, and you're done, ready to climb the stairs to your own quiet corner. The saloon's finally still, the last lantern snuffed out, leaving only the faint glow of moonlight slipping through the windows. You're upstairs in your small room above the bar, the creak of the floorboards under your boots the only sound as you shed the weight of the night. Your green dress hangs on a hook, its vibrant hue dulled in the dark, and you slip into a simple cotton shift, the fabric cool against your skin. The air smells of rosewater and dust, a quiet contrast to the saloon's earlier chaos. This is your sanctuary, where the madam steps aside, and you're just you, tired, human, but unbroken. You sit on the edge of your bed, the mattress sagging under you, and let the day's noise fade into memory. In the 1880s, a madam's private quarters were a rare refuge, often the only place she could drop the mask and breathe. You've made this room your own, a chipped mirror, a small table with a half-read dime novel, and that revolver in the drawer, always close but untouched tonight. You light a single candle, its flicker casting soft shadows, and pour a glass of water, sipping slowly. The saloon's your kingdom, but this room's your peace, where you unravel the day's knots. Deals struck, fights dodged, secrets caught. A quirky tidbit surfaces. Some madams kept diaries in code, spilling their fears and triumphs where no one could read them. You don't write, too risky, but you carry your stories in your head, each one a brick in the wall you've built. Historians still argue whether madams were lonely queens or just players in a lonely game. You'd say it's both. You command the crowd, but the quiet hits hard when the doors are locked. You glance at the mirror, catching your reflection, lipstick gone, kohl smudged, but your eyes still sharp. The night replays, Lila's song, the gambler's sly hands, that quiet man in the clean coat who vanished. You'll track him down tomorrow. Nobody slips your net without a reason. For now, you let it go, your mind drifting to Clara's growing confidence, Maggie's loyal grumbling, even Jake's hopeless flirting. They're your family, stitched together by this wild life, and you'd fight for them as fiercely as you fight for your saloon. You open the window, letting in a breeze that carries the scent of sage and distant horses. The town's asleep, but you feel its pulse, the same way you feel the saloon's. You think of that railroad rumor from earlier. Could mean bigger crowds, bigger trouble. You'll plan for it, like you plan for everything, but tonight, you're done strategizing. You blow out the candle, the room sinking into darkness, and settle onto the bed, the mattress creaking under you. The day's weight lingers, every smile you faked, every crisis you diffused, but you're still here, still standing. You pull the blanket up, its rough weave a comfort, and let your thoughts soften. The saloon's quiet, your crew's safe, and the ledger's in the black. For now, that's enough. You close your eyes, the faint hum of the night outside lulling you toward rest. Section 20. The night's grip softens as you lie in your small room above the saloon. The world outside hushed except for the faint rustle of wind through the open window. Your cotton shift clings lightly to your skin, and the bed creaks as you shift, staring at the ceiling where moonlight traces faint cracks in the wood. The saloon's chaos, Silas's piano, Lila's voice, the clink of coins, is a distant memory now, replaced by the quiet thrum of your own thoughts. You're not the madam here, not the queen of the bar. You're just you, letting the day's edges blur as you drift toward sleep. The scent of sage and dust lingers, grounding you, and you feel the town breathing outside, its pulse slowing to match your own. In the 1880s, a madam's life was a marathon, each day a test of grit and grace, but these late hours were her own, a stolen moment to dream or doubt. You think of the night's wins, the gambler's bluff called, Reynolds's deal sealed, Clara's steady hands. You think of that quiet man in the clean coat, too. His shadow lingers like a loose thread you'll pull tomorrow. For now, you let it go, your mind wandering to the saloon's rhythm, the life you've carved from this wild frontier. A quirky tidbit surfaces. Some madams kept lavender under their pillows, swearing it brought calm dreams after nights of chaos. You've no lavender, but the idea makes you smile. You'll take the saloon's hum over any flower. Historians still argue whether madams found peace in their lives or just survived them. You'd say it's both. You've built a kingdom, but the crown's heavy, and these quiet moments are your reward. You pull the blanket closer, its weight a soft anchor, and let your eyes drift shut. The saloon's safe, your crew's resting, and the ledger's balanced, for now. Tomorrow will bring new deals, new fights, new secrets, but you're ready. You always are. As your breathing slows, the room feels softer, the edges of the world fading into a gentle haze. The wind outside whispers through the sagebrush, a lullaby older than the town itself, carrying away the day's weight. You see the saloon in your mind's eye, its scarred tables, its glowing lanterns, the faces of your crew, your family. They're safe, tucked in their own corners, dreaming of gold or love or just another day under your watch. The frontier's a hard place, but you've made it yours, built a haven from dust and dreams. No need to worry now. The doors are locked, the numbers add up, and the night's yours to rest in. Let the stars keep watch outside, their light filtering through your window, a quiet promise of tomorrow. You're strong, you're steady, and you've earned this peace. Drift now, let the world slip away, and sink into the soft embrace of sleep. Sweet dreams, you've done enough.